Welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on Zoom with me right now Sean Dillingham, and he played Ralph in Falling for Christmas. How you doing, Sean?
Awesome, man. Living the dream.
Awesome, definitely. That's the way you do it,
That's
right?
right.
Absolutely. So to get everybody like familiar about you and everything,
Sure.
give us a little background on you and how did you get your start into acting?
Well, I've been an actor pretty much all my life. Grade school, incredibly shy kid, and got thrust into a school play, as most kids are, where they were like, "Yeah, everybody's going to be in it. I don't want to be in it. You're going to be the tree." Okay, all right, I'll be the tree. And it was incredibly freeing. I found that I didn't have to be shy or scared because this wasn't me. This was this thing that I was portraying. It was a great escape, and I followed that through school, through high school, community theater, semi-professional theater, then found my way into commercials and film and television, and it's been amazing. Been amazing. I
Awesome.
love it.
Awesome. Absolutely. So what was your audition like for Falling for Christmas?
Um, I had submitted my information to my agent who got in touch with the casting director, and I actually wound up auditioning 3 times for that.
Okay.
You tend to on those larger films,
Hmm.
they tend to. I did another film called On the Road
Hmm.
and wound up auditioning, and then I had 3 additional callbacks
Okay.
because they keep narrowing it down and narrowing it down, and then I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if they cast me or the beard because I grow a really nice beard. I get a lot of compliments, but it went great. It went fantastic. And then we did the first table read,
Hmm.
and I was on Zoom, and everybody's around the country. And they were like, okay, Lindsay's going to read her role, and Cord's going to read his role. And Sean, you read all the other characters that aren't here today. I was like, what? There was like 6 other characters in the script. So I had to play my character and then the valet and then the
Wow.
waiter and then security. And every time I did a different character, I was like, I was doing Ralph. So I was doing this. All right, buddy, I got you. Don't worry about it. And then I was the maitre d' and I was like, good evening, sir. We have your regular table for you. And you look smashing this evening. So I gave everyone a distinct personality and voice. And on the third one, Lindsay Piper, she was like, oh my God, love him. Love him. I don't know why I made her sound like SpongeBob's mom, but whatever. So yeah, it was a couple of auditions and then landed it. And it was awesome to find out that it was going to be such a small cast. I mean,
Yeah.
there's supporting characters all throughout, but really it's just down to about six
Okay.
characters. So
Nice,
and
nice. So speaking of Lindsay, what was it like working with Lindsay Lohan?
good, fantastic. With anybody, you build them up to
Hmm.
this unapproachable thing, and they just couldn't be nicer. You work with them and you realize they're real people. It's not this image that has been created about them. I did the movie Rust with Alec Baldwin.
Nice.
And I my greatest fear was I was like, oh God, please don't let him be an asshole. Please don't let him be an asshole. It's a great movie. It's a Western, big names. And I met him and he couldn't have been sweeter.
Nice.
It's just
Nice.
maybe it's just one of those things where actors sign on to I just wanted to be an actor.
Hmm.
I didn't want to be chased down going to the grocery store
Hmm.
or going to get mail and then you click, 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 and you're like, what the hell? What the hell? So it just one of those things. But yeah, couldn't be sweeter. Everybody
Yeah,
deserves.
absolutely. I get that because I come from a very small area, small town, and because of me being a local filmmaker and author and all that, like
Mhm.
I just go to a small little grocery store and all these people stop you like, "Oh, you did that movie that was filming in this area or whatever." And all. But
Yeah,
I can only imagine when you're bigger and it's like you can go to a town, any town in the world, and
yeah,
people are stopping you and stopping you. I'm like, geez, how do you like even shop? Like,
yeah,
because I could barely do it just going into a little small town called Ashland.
yeah, yeah. I remember years and years ago, I had an appearance on the Dr. Phil show, and this was
Mhm.
about a year right after he had been on the air, and Oprah was backing him, and he was huge. And after that appearance, people were calling my place of business. They were calling my home. They were emailing. They were like, "How'd you get on Dr. Phil? I really need to get." And I was just like, "What the hell?" And all I thought was, if this is 1/1000th of what somebody like Brad Pitt has to go through,
Yeah.
like, hey man, I just came to get coffee. I didn't want to.
Right.
I don't need a mob. I was just like, no thanks. This is.
Yeah.
I just recently saw. That's why when James Gandolfini was alive, they were like, they all wanted him to do talk shows, and he
Hmm.
was like, I don't do talk shows.
Yeah.
They were like, why? And he goes, because I just want to be an actor. I didn't sign on to do all that stuff. So,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know,
So
but
is Dr. Phil, I always wondered, is that scripted at all?
um, I have to say it's pretty scripted.
Okay.
And what I don't like is he likes to set people up for the big aha. And
Right.
he doesn't tell you. He's like, so here's the deal. You're going to do that, and we've got somebody from sixth grade that you knew that we're bringing out now, and you're like, what is going on? So it's pretty scripted. The only problem is they don't let you know the script. He
Okay.
knows the script,
I got you.
and he was pretty standoffish, not real like, hi, hey, thanks
Right.
for, I've worked with some actors that I did the TV show This Is Us, and uh Milo, whatever, Ventimiglia, whatever his name is. I don't know, because I never watched the shows that I do. I was sitting in the makeup chair, and he
Yeah.
comes and sticks his arms around my neck, and he's like, "How you doing today, buddy? We're gonna have fun, woo, yeah!" And I was like, "Who is this guy? Who is this
Right.
guy?" But Dr. Phil was just kind of like, "Thanks for being on the show," and walked off, and that was gone.
Wow.
Wasn't
Wow.
friendly, accommodating, nothing. So
Wow, crazy. Yeah. And one question I always had, because this is a Christmas movie, Falling for Christmas.
yeah,
When do they film the Christmas movies? Like, because obviously it's not in December.
no, they shot it pretty darn close to it though in
Really?
November. In
Oh, okay.
November the previous year.
Oh,
And
the
so,
previous year.
if anybody knows me, they know that I hate the cold. I mean, I'm talking
Mhm.
like if it gets 78, I'm like, oh, come on. And so they were like, you're filming in Utah. I'm like, okay, Salt Lake City. Okay. So, I travel and I get there and the sky is blue and it's like 65 degrees. And I'm like, cool. I pack nothing but t-shirts, shorts, and flip-flops. And the next day I wake up because I got to go to the wardrobe fitting, and I look outside and my car, can I cuss? Am I able to
Yeah,
cuss on?
go ahead. Go
My
ahead.
car looked like a fucking igloo. I was like 2 feet of snow dumped overnight. It was just covered.
Ooh.
Sky was gray, snow was falling. And I remember my words were, what the fuck? And I literally had to drive across the street to Target, and everybody's looking at me like I'm a nut because I'm walking in like, who's the guy from Chicago in the shorts and flip flops? And I had to buy all new clothes because it was like I had no idea. And not only did it snow nonstop, but then they were like, we're going to be filming up at Solitude Ski Resort.
Ooh.
So now I have to go up a mountain, and I'm passing signs that no shit said avalanche area, and I'm like, what? And then I pass another sign that says, watch for moose. And I'm like, where am I? What is going on?
Canada?
And driving, and the car's kind of tailing, fishtailing. And two or three cars had gone off the road. One car was like teetering on a jar. They put giant boulders on the side of the road to prevent cars from falling off. And one car was sort of teetering on it. The catering truck went off the road. And I was just like, oh my God. It's the thing where you open your car door, you put your foot out, and now you're up to your knee in snow already. And
I was gonna ask, is it real snow? But apparently it snowed, so it was real snow.
it was real snow. We filmed, and it was, I mean, they had those big propane heaters, and everybody was huddled around them. God, it got so, at one point, uh the other actor, George, had to fall, and I had to like reach down and pick him up out of the snow and put snow boots on him. And I got fingerless gloves on at one point, and I'm reaching into the snow. And after the third take, I literally was like, I can't bend my fingers. So the medical guy came over and gave me hand warmers and had me stand by the, and I was like, yeah, I can't, I couldn't even bend my fingers. It was
Oh
so
my
cold.
goodness.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was
That's
it was
crazy. Don't
wonderful.
don't tell me they didn't plan that snowfall for the days they filmed for the
I don't know.
Christmas movie.
Listen, it's beautiful. It's scenic, and you see it on
Yeah.
film, and you're like, oh, it's so pretty. but I would rather work in the heat and the sun than to work in the snow, because that is
Really.
tough. You're hot, you can always take your shirt off. You can
Yeah.
take your jacket off. You can
And you
get
can
by.
put water on you and all that
Yeah.
stuff. When you're
You're
cold, layers and layers and layers, but it still does
That's it.
nothing.
You're like, I still feel it. You got 3 blankets and a jacket on. I still feel it. Miserable. Yeah, it's miserable. People had the
Oh.
hand warmers. They were holding them. They had them in their
Mm.
pockets. They had stuffed them in their boots. I mean,
Mhm.
I think it was maybe 18 when we filmed.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess it's safe to say it did feel Christmassy.
Oh boy. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, this is so Christmassy. What I was thinking is, get me the fuck out of here.
Oh boy. So what do you believe is the biggest challenger as being an actor, just in general?
Uh, as an actor, the biggest challenge. Um, it really depends, because I think when you're new to acting and you're starting
Mhm.
out, it's get get on any set. You
Mhm.
just need to start acting and keep acting.
Mhm.
And I think after you get a little experience under your wings, then it's like you have to start being a little more particular
Yeah.
about what you get. You got to leave opportunities for the new actors coming up,
Mhm.
and you want to look at, there's kind of no going back.
Mhm.
In the beginning, you're like, I'll be a background extra. I don't care. I'll be the guy that stands over there with a rake. It doesn't matter. I don't care. And then you get a little more experience. You start getting lines. You start moving up, up the call sheet. And then you go, at some point, you got to go, well, I gotta start being a little more particular. That's
Mhm.
the tough thing,
Yeah.
because as an actor, you're like, I want to do everything. I want to do it
Mhm.
all.
Yep.
And you at some point have to be like, yeah, I gotta start choosing. I gotta
Mhm.
start choosing projects a little more carefully.
Right, and everybody starts at the bottom, say as an extra. Like, and it makes me think of the SpongeBob episode as seen on TV, where SpongeBob literally is like just a little piece of his like corner of his spongy head is just seen in the background.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like all excited, like, there I am,
There I
there I am.
am. I'm a star.
Everybody gets their start somewhere, and most of them do get their start as extras, and then but that's how you learn, because when you're on set as an extra, you learn how the filmmaking process works from set to set. You learn how they set up the shots. You learn how they, stay in place, the continuity, the directing, the
Mhm.
instruction, all that stuff,
Yeah.
and it all helps.
And you start learning the jargon, the lingo.
Mm-hmm.
That's the experience. Learning
Yeah.
the technical terms. That's like
Mm-hmm.
learning a whole new language, and
Yeah.
actors don't understand that, and
Yeah.
they don't understand, everything. Oh, acting is so easy, and I'm like, what's hard about acting is, first of all, how long it can take
Yeah.
to really get to, and that's the thing that stops a lot of actors, is
Mm-hmm.
the attrition, to just the stick to itiveness, that,
Right.
hey, listen, you're not, I could take a brand new actor and say, look, you're not going to be famous in a year. You're
Mm-hmm.
not going to be famous in maybe 5 years. You may
Yeah.
not be famous in 18 years.
Yeah.
You may have peaks and valleys, but
Mm-hmm.
you got to have that stick to itiveness.
Yeah.
That's what's going to drive you. Because
Yeah.
the second you quit, fate may tell you that, 6 months later would have been your big
Mhm.
break.
Yep.
And the other tough thing about acting is the fact that it's 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 arduous, in
Mhm.
that everybody goes, oh, you just gotta stand there and look pretty and just say a line. And I'm like, you know how many times I gotta say that same line, given that
Mhm.
I haven't screwed any lines up, and that I've done it the right way, and the director's happy with the way I did it. You
Yep.
got to do at least 3, 4 shots as the master shot, then as a medium shot, then as a close up, maybe over the shoulder, each actor close up. Then they
Mhm.
got to go, okay, let's change it from the 35 to the 50. Now let's change it to the 75. And you're like, one shot could take hours. And
Yep.
you're standing there doing the same thing, saying the same thing, and 3 hours later, everybody's thinking the same thing. Did you get it yet? Did you get it yet? That's
Mhm.
the tough thing, that
Yep.
you could be on a set 12, 14, 16 hours, and you're just like,
That's a funny story about that, because I remember doing my first movie. I was still living with my mom and dad at the time. And they said, "How long do you think you'll be out for?" I said, "Well, maybe 2, 3 hours." 12
yeah,
hours later, I get home. They're like, "So that was 3 hours?" I'm like, "Yeah, I
in
didn't
movie time,
realize that
yes.
that I was saying one line literally 30 times, and then
Mhm.
I get it right. Then I get it right, on the 30 different takes. But then we have to do it where I'm saying off camera because they need to get the other person's angle
Yeah.
of it and all.
It can the boredom and the repetition
And
can
the sitting around.
and people are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, it's easy." I'm like, "Yeah, that look, you do a job a different way all throughout the day. My job is like I may get 3 lines and I got to say them the same time, same way over and over and over and over and over. It's it can be mind
Yeah.
numbing, mind
Yeah.
numbing.
Let's just say if you go to set and you don't remember your lines and you kind of look at them just like right before you start to shoot your lines, by the time you get it right, you will have your lines memorized
Oh yeah.
because you keep saying them over and over again anyways.
They're
You're
like,
gonna
"You
get it
got it?"
down.
You're like, "Trust me, I got it. I'm ready to go. Ready to go
Absolutely.
since 2."
Yep. So and
Weird things always happen too on sets.
yeah.
I did Better Call Saul, and little things you don't understand. They gave me a call time. They were like, "Your call time's 5:18," and I was like, "That's very that's very, very precise." Okay.
Yeah.
And I got there and it's still dark out, which is always wonderful. And I get there and I'm like, "I'm checking in," and they like sign me in and everything. And I go, "Let me ask you a question. 5:18 is my call time. Is somebody like screwing with me to see if I'm paying attention or something?" And they go, "No, that's SAG rules. They go by every 6 minutes."
Wow.
And there you go. I never knew. You learn something all the time.
Yeah.
So that's why we talked about being on a set and you hear the phrases and the terms they use.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to learn that because it's like learning another language. And you do have to understand those terms because as the actor, you need to understand, okay, this is what they're doing now. This is the angle they're going for now. They're not
Right.
going to worried about my feet because this is a close up. So,
Right.
and that takes years in getting on sets.
Yep. And then on top of that, you have to keep in the back of your mind as an actor continuity. If you make the simplest of moves in between takes and
Yeah.
you're supposed to be in the same spot, when they're in editing, it's like, did he just move? Like, where did he move? How did he move? Like, go from here to here?
Yeah. And
Like,
actors always want to make things interesting. Like, I'm gonna have this, I'm gonna have this cigar and I'm gonna give my big speech and then I'm gonna take a drink of this whiskey. And then all of a sudden the actor can't remember on what line did he take a draw and what line did he take a drink. And oh, by the way, the
yep,
cigarette's getting smaller. And
yep,
that's why they're like, don't do that shit. Don't mess with props like cigarettes and drinks because somebody's gonna watch this and go, "I love it. Your cigarette's long and now it's short. Now it's long again. And your drink is empty. Now it's full. What the hell?"
yep. Like Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning is one that really comes to mind when Pam Roberts, played by Melanie Kinnaman, is running through the woods. It's raining out. She has the pink sweater on her. And I interviewed her and we talked about this. And she hated that pink sweater to begin with. And in each shot, it's there and then it's gone. And then it's there and then it's gone. And then
Oh,
it's there and then it's gone. And then the last shot, you see her with it around her neck. She said, I that sweater was the ugliest thing I've ever seen. And now everybody knows me for the missing pink sweater.
yeah. And the editor was like, "Oh shit, how are we gonna
Yep.
work this one?"
Yeah, she said that they were filming. They lost the pink sweater during reshoots or something like that.
Oh
So
god.
she was shooting it. She shot all the scenes with it, but then they had to do reshoots for certain parts of it. So they had
Yeah,
to keep some parts of the ones with it, some without it, and
yeah,
mix it together. And it just, yeah. And that's what people remember about a movie is
yeah.
like the continuity errors, those type of bloopers.
You got to be really precise, really particular, because
Yep.
this shit's gonna live forever. Look at Bruce
Yep.
Campbell. He's still talking about movies he did 35 years ago. It
Yep.
lives forever.
Yep.
And
My
you know what?
mom asked me the one time, she goes, she said, when I was doing my first movie, she goes, "Okay, Scotty, I'm gonna get your hair. I'm just gonna cut your hair a little bit. It's getting way too long." I'm like, "Can't do that, Mom. Gotta wait till the movie's completely ready in post." She's like, "Scotty, it's not a big deal." I'm like, "Mom, if I have to do reshoots, I'm gonna have scenes where I'm gonna have long hair and other scenes I have short hair and back to long hair. Because we
Yeah,
don't film in order and we might have to do reshoots that need me to have this kind of hair."
yeah, yeah.
She's
You got
like,
it.
"Oh, I guess I didn't think of that."
That's what they tell you is, don't mess with your look. Don't go getting
Yep.
tattoos and don't get pink hair. Just stay. It can be kind of boring in that sense. You
Yep.
asked me earlier too. One thing that I did think about that, that one of the toughest parts of being an actor
Mhm.
is, and this is sort of just the emotional side for me,
Mhm.
whether it's a commercial, a TV show, because I did one recently and I really felt this way, or movies, is when it ends.
Yeah.
You're there 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and you're like, you're bonding with the other people.
Yep.
You show up and you're like, hey guys, we're all here on the same
Mhm.
job, the same mission. And then it's like, okay, Thursday's your last day. And you're just like,
Yep.
sometimes it's hard to go back to the real world.
Yeah, one of our actors on our first movie, he has depression, and after it all wrapped up, he went into a depression because he
Yeah.
missed that environment. He missed the friends, he missed the filming, he missed the fun.
Yeah. And that's why now, I try to stay as busy as possible, usually doing
Mhm.
3 to 4 projects a month,
Yeah,
which is quite a bit for an actor,
yeah,
aside from the big things, because I have to be on set.
yeah,
That's my job. That's my studio. That's where I create. That's the art for me.
yeah,
So it's not
absolutely.
I want to, and now it's almost I have to. I
Right.
have to.
Absolutely. And a big part of it also is rejection because 95% of acting is rejection. So for anybody that's coming into acting, like newcomers, they have to audition. 95% they're going to get rejected. Maybe they'll pick up a few roles here and there.
Yep.
What do you recommend for the newcomers to prepare for auditioning and,
Well, let
rejection
me
and that?
tell you. Yeah, let me tell you. Yeah, you'll be told 95% of the time, but let me add a little caveat to that. You'll
Hmm.
be told 95% of the time because it has nothing to do with you.
Hmm.
Can't take it personally because they could say, oh, he's too short, he's too tall, he's too fat, he's too thin, he's too old, he's too young. There's so many things that are outside your control that they're like, yeah, that's great, but we're looking for a black lesbian, and
Yeah.
sorry, thanks for coming
Right.
in.
Or
And
we're
every
looking for
actor's like,
somebody
no,
that
I can
has,
play that. I can do that.
yeah.
I can play like, no, you can't.
Right. Or they're
It's like,
looking for somebody that has authentically blonde hair. They don't want to dye it because it might look a little too phony.
right. And
You know?
Brian Cranston gave the best advice to new actors, and he said, I used to go into auditioning desperately wanting to land that job. I need this job. I need it. I got bills. I really need it. And he said, when you go in with that attitude, you can feel and you can smell the desperation.
Mhm.
They really, hi, I really want to be liked and I really want to land this. And then they're just like, just stop, just breathe and relax. And he said, when I put that aside and I said, I'm just going in now, and this little 5 minutes is my little performance opportunity.
Mhm.
It's just my little 5 minute show. So I can show them what I can do and my interpretation of this material.
Mhm.
And that's it. And when it's done, you leave it there.
Mhm.
And I know some actors that go in and they're desperate. Hi, I'm ready. And then after they leave, they're calling their agent. Have you heard? Have you heard? Have you heard? And you're like, you got to stop. You just got
Mhm.
to be a performer and know that I'm going to go in and do the best I can do, show them my interpretation, and then I'm going to leave. Thanks, everybody. What they're really looking at in any audition, you heard that phrase before. You only have one opportunity to make a first impression. It's really not true. You have two. You have two opportunities to make a first impression: the moment they see you, and then the moment you open your mouth. So you have two.
Yeah.
And what a lot of actors do is they go in to audition like they're running for class president. They really want to be liked. And you know why somebody who's like short and chubby with gray hair, kind of balding, lands a lot of stuff? Because my confidence enters that room before I do.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm talking to actors in the lobby like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, listen, they're casting me for the role of the black guy, so you can take off. But thanks for coming, buddy. Good to see you. I start laying it down there.
Yeah.
And then when I go in, I'm ready because I know they're going to say, hey, Sean, how you doing? And I'm going to go living the dream. Woo! Pretty fun
Yep.
up here at the top of the food chain, isn't it? And I let them know because I realize behind that desk, all these casting people, they have a problem and they need me to solve it.
Yeah.
They got to fill this role because they got a lot of shit going on in other
Yep.
productions and things they got. And I'm like, you can call
Yep.
it done after this.
Yep. And if they find you and they know they want you, that saves them all the callbacks. That
Exactly.
saves them all future auditions and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. And I've done a lot of auditions where, I've left my home in Arizona. I've driven to LA. I'm driving back home. My agent calls and says, yeah, they already called me. You got it. Because I
Right.
want to go in there and be like, hey, problem solved. Have, as an actor, have an interesting story about yourself.
Hmm.
And a lot of actors don't. They're like, hey, Scotty, what do you like to do? Well, I'm an actor. And when I'm not acting, I like to think about acting. And I want to be an actor when I grow up. Huh. And they go, wow,
Yep.
how very boring, how very shallow.
Right.
Anything
Right.
else? But I tell actors all the time, if you go out there and you get real world skills, and then you go into the
Yeah.
casting room and they're like, so Scotty, tell us about yourself. What do you like to do? And you have that interesting story where you go, well, I am a PADI certified scuba diver and recently went cave diving in Cancun where we actually found human skeletal remains. They'll go, okay, fuck the audition. Tell us about that. And now, instead of having 30 seconds to read this copy, now you got the ears of the room for the next 5 minutes. And they
Mhm.
really can get to know you and see how you can tell a story. And you're like, and then right then La Policia show up and we got to hightail it out of there. And they're like, you know what? I walked out and I hear people going, like him, like him.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta be prepared.
Yeah.
Walk in that room. It's about you. It's very, very little about that copy. Very
Yeah.
little.
Absolutely. And I mean, you definitely like you want to be yourself, but you don't want to be seem too eager. You want to be interesting. You want to be somebody that
Yeah.
they could say, well, this person could tell us a story about their personal life in a really exciting way. I can
Yeah.
imagine when they get their character down, how they're going to be able to tell the story, from that angle.
And that's all you got to do is just be
Yep.
you. Maybe be an amplified version of you,
Yeah.
like you're doing an interview,
Hmm.
or you're on television or something. Don't
Hmm.
be First of all, don't be a character. Don't walk in like,
Right.
well, I've got to be a cowboy, so I'm gonna go in like a cowboy. And they're like, that's not how you talk. No, it's not. Well,
Right.
stop. Don't be a character and don't be a caricature. Big over
Yep.
the, hey everybody, how you doing? And they're like,
Yep.
okay, go away.
Right. When you go to a job interview, you don't go to a job interview, oh, I think I can do this job. I had my job interview for the United States Coast Guard as their web developer. I said, I know how to do this code, this code, this code, this code, and this code. You need it done this way, that way, or the other way. I'll make sure it gets done by the deadline. And
Yeah.
I got the job literally the next morning, and now I'm senior web developer, got promoted.
That's what you got to do.
You
You got
gotta you gotta sell yourself higher than, even if you have doubts and you're nervous about doing it, you sell yourself higher and you figure it out at the time it comes.
and you present yourself as a
Right.
professional and
Yep.
as somebody that, hey, I this is somebody that I could work with and somebody I do want to work with. I
Right.
know some actors and actresses that the audition's done and they want to hug everybody, and I'm like, why are you doing that?
Right.
First of all, you're breaking boundaries. Don't do that.
Right.
Secondly, if you went to a job interview at IBM, when the interview was done, you wouldn't lean over the desk and hug the guy or hug the
Right.
lady.
You'll
You'd shake
stand
their
up,
hand. Thank
handshake.
you. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
that aspect, you have to be professional on that level too.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last question I do got for you, do you any other projects in the works, social media accounts, websites, anything at all that you would like to promote to the listening and viewing audience?
Sure, my Instagram, I'm blowing that up. That's Instagram at Sean Dillingham actor.
Okay.
What I have coming out in 2 weeks on the CW, I shot an episode of Walker Independence,
Nice.
which is in the whole Chuck Norris Walker, Texas Ranger to Walker, everything. And Walker Independence, I got it and I was like, oh, cool. What is it? And I watched it and I go, oh, it's a cowboy. It's an Old West thing. Cool.
Nice.
So I got to play a great character. I got to play this town asshole that it's
Nice.
the whole episode is my character.
That's the most fun, is playing the asshole in a movie.
Well, I like, people are always like, oh, the heavy. That's what they call the bad guy, the heavy. But
Right.
I like it. I think it's a very pivotal
Yeah.
role because good guy can't beat a
Awesome.
good guy without the bad guy.
Exactly.
And the fact that I am an old, even I don't know if you've ever heard of the actor Mark Shepard. He was on
Sounds familiar.
Supernatural and everything. I get to work with him and
Okay.
very complimentary. He's about my age, and he was like, he kept telling me, I really like you. Really good
Nice.
actor, man. He's like, you don't rush, you hold that moment. That was great because new actors and actors in general don't like this.
Hmm.
They don't like dead air, and they feel like they always got to fill it with something. So I'm like, I'm the type where I'll just saunter over to him in my scene and be like, well, if it ain't the greatest showman on earth, hell are you doing here, bud? I'm
Right.
a lot more uh drawn out with my
Mm-hmm.
dialogue, and I'm not afraid of like holding silence for a minute and going, really, let my eyes tell the story, because that silence is so important for an actor. It's like when you read a book, you visualize it in your mind.
Yeah.
And then you see the movie and you go, oh, this is not good at all. The book was better. Same thing for actors. When you're quiet and you're just doing something with your face or your eyes,
Mm-hmm.
you don't realize that's where you're giving the audience the opportunity to fill in that blank.
Yeah.
And that draws them into the show. And you want
Yep.
that. You're like, really?
Now what's going to happen?
Yeah. And they're like this. You're creating that tension that, oh, 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 oh. It was great. I had a great time. And all I thought when it was done, I was on set for a week. And when it was done, I was just like, and everybody kept saying to me throughout it, you should so be on this show. Why aren't you on this show? And I'm like, I don't know. I can be on a show too. A cast regular. So we'll see. I really love that. And I shot. So that's coming up in a couple of weeks, end of January. I shot a TV show for Hulu called Retreat.
Nice.
That's coming out, and that's going to be really good. And then I shot an episode of Duster for HBO Max. That was shot with, and I became my kid's hero because I shot with and got a picture with the director, J.J. Abrams.
Okay.
So for the Star Wars thing, they were like,
Yeah.
what?
Nice.
And that was funny because I was talking with the actor in it, Josh Holloway, who's on Yellowstone, and he said, hey, Sean's got to leave. JJ, let's get a picture together. And JJ's got a black hood on and a mask on for COVID. And we're standing there, and Josh looked at me and goes, JJ, for Christ's sake, take all that shit off. You look like a ninja. Nobody's going to recognize you. He's a hoodie and a mask and some glasses. So he took it all off, and that was cool.
Nice,
So
nice.
yeah, some cool stuff coming up. Cool
Awesome.
stuff.
Awesome. Well, check out Sean's IMDb, see what else he's got coming up. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff you have in the works.
Yeah, I got about 110 credits out there,
Nice.
adding more all the time. Movies. The producers for Netflix and Falling for Christmas were like, we have gotten just a lot of fantastic feedback about you. So you are definitely in our next project. Definitely in our next project, whatever that may be. Yeah. So good things are looking good for this year. They after the success of Falling for Christmas, it's like in the top 100 of Netflix most watched movies that they my agents are like, okay, it's time to start shopping you. Time to start pushing you out there more. So we'll see.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, before I let you go, just to let everybody know, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to slash that subscribe button, and of course share, like, comment, share on social media, all that stuff. If you're listening on the audio version of the episode, either on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, rate, comment, like, share, whatever. On Facebook, I'm now monetizing Slasher Scotty, so if you can give me stars to keep the channel going, and definitely do that. I mean, that'll really help me out. If you don't want to give stars, that's fine as well, but of course share it if you can. And I'm on Cameo now, so check out Cameo. I'm willing to do happy birthdays, happy anniversaries. If you want to have a breakup but you're too coward to do it, just let me know. I'll break up with them for you.
You're like, hey, Brad, listen, she wants to see other people. Sorry, man.
Absolutely.
Slasher Scotty out.
Absolutely. I'll definitely do that for you. And of course, my book, The Ultimate Halloween Movie Experience. These are original artwork plus pictures in there from Kim Gottlieb Walker, on set from 1981's Halloween 2, forward from Jamie Lee Curtis, 16 original interviews from cast and crew, as well as thousands of trivia questions. One last thing got going on is merchandise by virtualmerchbooths.com, my merchandiser. Check out our signature shirt, Slasher Scotty, as well as other shirts and designs I got on there. Go to virtualmerchbooths.com and you can get any of your merch. Thank you so much, Sean, for joining me. It's been so much fun.
Damn, I have none of that. I'm like, hey, I got Instagram, Sean Dillingham actor, and see ya. I mean, damn, you're like, Slasher Scotty, come down to Slasher Scotty right today.
Yeah, I interviewed somebody. I think it was yesterday. My first interview yesterday might have been. So I have 3 today and I have 3 yesterday because my laptop crashed. So I rescheduled. And I tripled booking my interviews just so, because today's the last day I can do them because I start grad school tomorrow. So
oh my god! So you're like,
I'm gonna have grad school and 3 jobs.
You're like, is it gonna be energy drinks or Adderall? Which one am I going with?
I know, right? So my first interview was like, you have that down pat, that whole thing. I don't know if I can say half of that the length you did.
You're like, hey, normally these interviews are an hour, but I got to move. Thanks.
Well, I thank you, Sean. It's been an honor. It's been great. And I had so much fun. And, you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Scotty. Be well.
Absolutely. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Yeah, bye.